we're gonna try this again. I know I just screwed up. You know, that was my first time. This is my first time streaming in a very long time, so I gotta figure out how to do it again. But yeah, I think we should just start and go ahead and switch back to the video. So let's try this one more time. Let's try this shit one more time. Yeah, the stream crashed. I don't know why. The second I started the stream, everything just like got destroyed. I have no idea why. But we're gonna try this one more time. Again, this is Untangling God of War. This is considered the best God of War video on YouTube. And this is my first time watching it, so let's see. I hope it doesn't lie. All right, are we good? Are we good? All right. Okay, let's just go ahead and start this video once again. Hopefully it doesn't screw up. I love this guy's editing, dude.
Loki is not an easy character to remove from Norse mythology. When it comes to the storytelling devices of the 9th and 10th century Vikings, Loki was a primary one, as the god of mischief's lust for conflict was often used as the tool to shake up the natural order of things. Loki's actions were responsible for the feuds and even deaths of many gods and giants, creation of the cosmos' greatest monsters, and is seen leading the charge against the gods of Asgard during the final battle at the end of everything, Ragnarok. The etymology of his name points to the Germanic word "lok," which denoted things to do with loops, like knots or locks. He is the character that tangles plots and complicates relationships. Renowned master of Norse myths, Kevin Crossley Holland, writes that without the exciting, unstable, flawed figure of Loki, there could be no change in the fixed order of things.
Yeah, see, I just talked about this in a video I recently uploaded, which is all about Loki is always this constant person changing Norse mythology. Without Loki, there will be no change. I really do. I love this video's editing already. I think this video's editing is fantastic.
No quickening pulse, and no Ragnarok. Loki is the catalyst for change in Norse mythology.
Those are my exact words in the video, by the way. Loki is change.
And so any attempt to remove him from the stories would require an enormous amount of rerouting of the events to cover up the holes left in his absence.
Holy shit, this
And yet, this is exactly what the writing team over at Santa Monica Studios have managed to achieve in their original Norse-based adventure colossus, God of War.
Look at that. It's Thor.
Thor, god of thunder.
That's right. I never thought you listened when Mother spoke of the gods.
I seldom did.
God of War's story follows Kratos, an ex-general demigod from Sparta, and his son Atreus, as they take the ashes of Kratos' late wife and mother to Atreus, Faye, to the highest peak in all the realms.
This is incredible!
The journey pushes and pulls the two all across the cosmology of Norse myth, where they encounter almost the entire pantheon of Norse characters.
It's the world serpent. He's so much bigger than I imagined.
But while there is a special emphasis placed on the discovery and retelling of these ancient Norse stories, the myths are being sent off in directions different to the source material. And this is because the character of Loki has been completely removed from the mythology, leaving no trace or mention of him anywhere throughout the story. That is, until the very end.
All these drawings. This is our story.
At the end of the journey, in the great twist before the credits roll, Atreus learns for the first time the name given to him by Faye, his mother.
I guess there's just one thing I don't understand. My name on the wall.
Loki?
The giants called me... Loki?
Loki.
This moment, being the first and only time the name Loki is used throughout the journey, suddenly highlights the removal of it in the story. Because Loki is only a child in God of War, The comings and goings of adult Loki from the myths are naturally non-existent yet. And this
guy's editing is fantastic. Like, as someone who makes videos constantly, like me, this editing is fucking top class. I don't know if this guy does his own editing or he has like a team, but holy shit, I'm already blown away.
leaves sizable holes in the architecture of the mythology.
Blown away by this editing.
And yet, this new mythology doesn't collapse. And this is because the God of War team filled the gaps with myths that have been reinvented to accommodate for Loki's removal. But the God of War writers don't just fill the gaps and walk away. When comparing these reinvented myths with the original texts, we begin to see that the writers are actively using this reinvented mythology to help them land a much larger story goal.
You were just an animal.
It's a long and twisted thread full of knots and loopholes, but by untangling God of War's mythological tapestry,
You will never change.
we see the full picture.
Preach, dude. I'm gonna turn on my air conditioning. I'll be right back. It's hot as hell with these lights. Hold on. Alright. Again, I'm already super impressed with this video. I love how he talked about Loki being this person who is change. Loki is the catalyst of change, which I literally just made a video about like a week ago or so. This guy obviously knows what he's talking about. That's my fear of going in this video, was I was afraid I might get some things wrong or I might challenge.
Norse myth already has a
feel like I
complicated
won't.
history, as almost everything we know about it comes down to only these two manuscripts, the Eddas, namely the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda. Unlike the Greeks with their thoroughly documented mythology, or the thousands of manuscripts on the New and Old Testaments, the Vikings never wrote anything down, and so all we've been granted are a scattering of Viking poems that have miraculously found their way down through the centuries. The Poetic Edda, also known as the Codex Regius or King's Book, was unearthed in 1643, but dates back to being written 400 years earlier. Judging by subtle time period inconsistencies in the text, the Codex Regius is actually thought to be a copy of an original manuscript written sometime around the beginning of the 13th century, which has never been found. The Prose Edda, on the other hand, is the important work of Norwegian chieftain and scholar Snorri Sturluson, who in roughly 1220 compiled the second manuscript to help those interested better understand the unique poetic techniques used in these poems. In his book, The Viking Spirit, independent scholar Daniel McCoy writes that, like any other scholar, Snorri was all too human, sometimes misinterpreting sources and filling gaps in the narrative with his own imagination. This was done in the groping attempt to make the Norse beliefs seem closer to those of Christianity, which at that point was the local religion after the Christianization of Europe began 2 centuries earlier, resulting in heavy debate over the storytelling purity of the texts. And so from these two sources, time-worn manuscripts containing many contradictions,
This editing is fantastic.
loopholes, and missing pieces, we have most of what makes up all modern knowledge of Norse mythology. The God of War team do a good job at honoring the pieces that do exist from the incomplete Norse myth jigsaw. But this isn't to say that these pieces aren't rearranged to serve the narrative goals of their story, which is to ultimately provide a world that encourages transformation for the protagonists.
Yes.
Again! You are clearly not ready.
Both Kratos and Atreus are broken characters at the start of the story.
What are you doing? Now his guard is up.
Much like the Eddas, Kratos has a complicated and damaged history, and this secret past manifests into parenting philosophies that grate against Atreus' natural posture for compassion.
That's an interesting thought. I never really thought about that.
Can't.
But for better or worse, these two opposing forces of pride and compassion slowly begin to crack the other.
You were teaching him how to be a god, and he was kind of, in turn, teaching Kratos how to be a human being.
Yeah.
This noxious combination results in a
This
father and son
this
story
editing
full
is
of
so
destruction
good,
and
dude.
betrayal.
Holy shit.
But with the aid of the adventure world around them and the reinvented Norse myths that come attached to it, the two are guided towards a realm of healing. As we're about to see, the God of War writers used this new Loki absent mythology to double down hard on 3 primary themes that help Kratos and Atreus in their transformation.
Come on out!
But the force helping to push this transformation along is the altered story arc of God of War's antagonist, Baldur.
Yeah, I love fucking Baldur. Oh my, I can't wait to hear his thoughts about him.
Bigger.
I hope he talks about his tattoos.
You're definitely the one. Long way from home, aren't you?
Baldur, thanks to Loki, is supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
This legend starts in a poem called Völuspá in the Poetic Edda, is fleshed out more in Baldur's dreams, and given even more detail in the Prose Edda's The Death of Baldur. After hearing about Baldur's nightmares which prophesy his death, Baldur's mother, Freya, personally requests an oath from all things to never harm her son. Every rock, tree, mountain, river, virus, animal, and being across the 9 realms agree, all except mistletoe. Considering mistletoe to be too young and innocent a vine, Freya skips it. But after learning of this and crafting an arrow from some nearby mistletoe, Loki convinces Baldur's blind brother Hoth to throw it at Baldur during a game where the other gods put Baldur's new immortality to test.
Baldur was showing off, yeah.
Believing he is part of the game, Hoth throws the arrow and Baldur drops dead.
That tree, which seemed harmless, caused a terrible sorrow when Hoth took a shot.
Bro,
the beginning of this tale remains completely
Facts.
intact in God of War, in that Baldur does become immortal thanks to the oaths Freya collects. But due to adult Loki's removal, Baldur still lives.
I want you to know one thing. I can't feel any of this.
So I just want to add that, like, me and Cuba, we talked about this as well, how, like, so much shit is different because Loki doesn't exist to change the world. That's why everything is so different from, like, actual Norse myth. And I love the fact that the writers included that.
You've seen it with your own eyes. You can't hurt me. Nothing can.
The trajectory of Baldur's character, a god still unable to feel anything, has become one that is twisted by revenge, his mother's blessing now seen as a lifelong curse.
You had no right.
I had every right. I am your mother.
You had no right, witch. I can't taste. I can't smell. I can't even feel the temperature of this room.
Death has no power over you now. You would rather die?
Never feel again? Yes. I would rather die.
I've talked about that in a past video as well.
You saved me, and that deserves compensation.
But curiously, mistletoe arrows do still find their way into the story.
What are these?
Braided mistletoe arrows, straighter than Heimdall and perfectly weighted.
So this guy, he's going, he's basically saying that the real Norse myth didn't happen because Loki is still here, but somehow it all is gonna happen anyways.
Oh. Thanks?
Your quiver.
This is a great video.
Strap broke when we fought the dragon.
Pain we endure. Faulty weaponry we do not.
It was still gonna happen
Good.
regardless.
Wait.
I think that's his point now.
Where did you get those? The arrows. Give them to me, now. These arrows are dangerous. They're wicked. You find any more, you destroy them, understand?
Freya herself hints towards this mistletoe secret.
It's kind of like, I'm not sure if you guys like watch a lot of like time travel like movies or whatever, but there's always like that one point that's always going to happen no matter how many times you try to change it. And this guy is basically saying that mistletoe arrows made an appearance because it's what's supposed to happen regardless.
But
I
in
love
an
this
interesting
fucking
twist
video
of
already.
events, it is still Loki in a mistletoe arrow that is responsible for Baldur's demise.
Yep. I've talked about this in past
No!
videos.
Atreus! What is this?
It's like Baldur was always meant to die, and Ragnarok was always meant to happen, no matter how many times things change.
I can feel this.
It is what it is. It's such a cool concept.
I can feel everything.
He's vulnerable now?
Oh,
By
this
repositioning
guy's
this
editing
mistletoe
music
arrow
is great,
event,
too.
Baldur and Freya's relationship is given a chance to play out. And the exploration of these relationships is the first reason for the reinvention of the myths. In order to spark change in Kratos and Atreus, the Santa Monica team surround them with a community of different relationships to learn from. The curious part, though, is that it's a community of broken relationships.
Yep.
Guess I shouldn't be surprised. I did the same thing to my dad when I was his age.
Yup, the
Killed his own
spirit.
father?
From fathers, mothers, brothers, and sons, every single supporting character suffers from a family matter.
Oh, I can tell you a thing or two about family matters.
The two dwarf brothers, Brock and Sindri, are caught in a feud. These two characters are from a chapter in the Prose Edda, which involves Loki and the dwarf brothers in a contest to see who can design the greatest Asgard
I literally
treasures.
just made a
This
video about
includes
this
Thor's
shit.
hammer,
I love
Mjolnir,
Loki, man.
which makes an appearance right at the end of the
Yep.
story, and Freya's boar with golden whiskers, which makes an appearance when the two meet her in the forest.
I didn't talk about
His
that.
kind in all the realm and you shoot him.
While always seen working together in the Eddas, the dwarf brothers are navigating a damaged relationship in God of War after, according to a deciphered God of War cloth map, each forgot the location of an important treasure, which is an addition to the material. Another broken family unit is found in Thor and his sons,
Yup.
Modi and Magni, who are caught in a bitter competition between each other and their father.
People hated
after
me for
Magni
talking
gets all
about-
the praise for saving Thor when Magni was only 3 days old.
People got pissed off at me when I made that video, Modi the Broken God, because I was saying the same exact things.
This event is relatively accurate to the text and is found in the Prose Edda during the story of Thor and the giant Hrungnir, who falls on Thor after his stone head is smashed in by Thor's own hammer.
Magni, being Launder, got all the credit, and Modi remained bitter about it from that day to the end.
But Modi's involvement is an addition to the myth, as he's never mentioned in the Prose Edda, and this is used to explore the sons' terrible relationship with their father, which is given special attention in the story after Kratos kills Magni.
Thor, blame me. Me, for what you did to Magni. My own father called me a coward.
Looks like he did more than that.
For Kratos, all of these broken family events are designed to help him find his true north when it comes to being both a decent parent and a human being. It's like being fed bad food to remind us why we want good food.
Pretend to be everything you are not. Teacher, husband, father. But there is one unavoidable truth you will never escape. You cannot change.
This guy is editing.
I know you're a god. Not of this realm, but there's no mistaking it. He doesn't know, does he? About your true nature? Or his own?
The lie that Kratos believes is that controlling the truth is a strength. But just like how Freya's overprotection backfires on her relationship with Baldur, Kratos' attempt at withholding the truth that both he and Atreus are gods slowly begins to unravel the further the two push into the adventure.
Atreus.
Kratos' withholding of the truth begins to bleed into the physical world, becoming a poison that infects Atreus from the inside out.
What is happening to him?
I've seen in mortals that some conflict of the mind expresses itself as an ailment of the body. Never in a god, but a god believing himself mortal. I can only imagine.
At this point, Kratos is faced with his first real emotional trial, as he comes face to face with the realization that the only way to save his son is by letting the truth free.
I can break the fever, but to heal...
He must know the truth of what he is.
Yes.
It is not so simple.
The second theme in God of War is one that hangs like a cloud over Kratos' battle with the truth. And again, the writers use Loki's removal to summon this theme up to the surface for everyone to see.
It's Skadi. Mother liked her. The great huntress.
The best example of this is the story Mimir retells regarding the shape-shifting giant Thiazi and his daughter Skarði. According to the Prose Edda, Loki was blackmailed by Thiazi in his eagle form into bringing him the goddess Ithune and her apples of youth. But through Loki's trickery, leads Thiazi into Asgard, where he's killed by the gods with fire.
The holy gods soon built a fire. They shaved off kindlings and the giant was scorched.
Seeking revenge for her father's death, Skarði storms into Asgard. But as a sign of goodwill, Odin grants her 2 wishes before placing the eyes of her father in the heavens to shine like stars until Ragnarok. But without adult Loki in existence, this event in God of War plays out very differently.
I love this guy's angle.
After Odin's marriage proposal to Skarði is refused, he tricks her into killing an eagle rumored to be hunting for Ithune and her apples. Excited to prove her incredible hunting abilities, Skarði finds and shoots the eagle.
When she collected her quarry,
I didn't even I didn't even think about that. So what this guy is trying to like tell us is that Loki not being in the real Norse myth allows the real Norse myth story to be altered and changed. And I didn't even realize that without Loki, oh, this video is fucking fantastic. Oh my god.
But her own father, poor Thiazi, slain by his own daughter.
This reinvention is used to drive home the second theme that cycles around again and again. Not just in this God of War story, but in the entire series of stories. A child who kills their parent.
Yeah.
The cycle ends here.
I was gonna make a video about this
theme
last
plays
week.
directly into Kratos' complicated history of killing his own father Zeus.
I wonder he's gonna talk about Kratos'
later in a vision for
great-grandfather.
both protagonists as a reminder of the decisions Kratos is trying to leave behind.
Come on, we gotta go!
You saw.
This family cycle of betrayal, also known as the cycle of patricide, is a family curse that passes down from father to son, beginning all the way back at Kratos' grandfather, Kronos.
He
who,
did talk
according
about
to
him.
Greek mythology,
He did talk
betrayed
about
his
him.
own father, Uranus, who then cursed
Uranus,
his entire
yeah.
family line to follow in the same fate.
You know, that's what I was saying. Like, I hope this guy, you know, talks about him. I didn't think he was going to, but he did. Holy shit, Kratos' great-grandfather, and
He was overcome
I
with grief
love
and
this
shame.
guy, man.
For there is nothing nature so reviles as a child who kills their parent.
Kratos comes from a history where compassion is seen as a weakness, and this is why he rejects Atreus.
It is a curse. The boy has been cursed.
But ultimately, Kratos withholds the truth about his history in the vain hope that it will help reroute his fate.
Don't leave without me.
I will not.
At this point, we see that things have begun to change, as Atreus' compassion has shifted the way that Kratos views the world, and by using Kratos' own son, the writers force Kratos to make an uncharacteristic choice in favor of a healthy relationship.
The truth. The truth. I'm a god, boy. From another land far from here.
How did he get rid of the music?
When I came to these shores, I chose to live as a man. But the truth is, I was born a god. And so were you.
But it's here, at the storytelling junction point, that the writers flip the roles of the characters.
I think I'm gonna like being a god.
Flip the role.
Kratos is beginning to let go of control, right as Atreus begins to weaponize the truth about his godhood.
Yes,
I
yes,
can
sir.
tell
yes,
you
sir.
a thing or
Facts.
two about family matters.
Oh, let me guess. Your brother isn't as talented as you, and his work is junk.
Those things are accurate. Your point?
It's all you ever talk about, over and over. Do something about it or shut up already. We're sick of hearing about little people's little problems.
I saw that cut.
Why did you speak to the dwarf like that?
He should know the truth, even if it hurts.
It was needless and unkind.
Truth is more important than kindness.
This line of truth
They're
being more
flipping the
important than
roles, yeah.
kindness
Kratos
sums
being
up the struggle
compassionate.
that begins to
Atreus
boil
being a
between the
dick.
two protagonists, as Atreus begins to place his godhood status above others. But the way the writers guide both Kratos and Atreus through this fog of morality is by telling stories about two other important yet invisible characters whose deeds are the subject of much discussion throughout the adventure. Tyr, the god of war from Norse mythology, and the vicious Allfather, Odin.
Odin's ways are subtle and his purposes are...
Enough about Odin and his whole stupid family.
These two characters are used to establish the moral compass for the story, a very clear north and south polarization of how to use godhood, which is a storytelling philosophy foreign to the mythos, as the Vikings' pantheon is more or less an amoral one. But the fancy footwork of the writers can't be overstated here, as while Odin and Tyr's legacies also haven't escaped the ripple effect of Loki's removal, the point of their rerouting traces back to the same single detail the writers change in the mythology, a detail that, while not involving Loki directly, involves the grisly world of Loki's children.
Yeah, Loki's children. Dude, again, I know I keep saying it, but this guy's editing is one of the most high quality edits on fucking YouTube. Like, I'm praising this editing so much.
In Norse myth, Loki is the father and mother of many monster children, and most of them appear in God of War, but at varying degrees of importance. On the Jormungandr shrine, Loki's entire family appears here in the oldest Viking rune alphabet, Elder Futhark, including Loki himself, next to his wife Angrboda, followed by their 3 children, the first being Hel, the half-girl, half-corpse child.
Why have I never... I've looked at this probably a couple of 100 times. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've looked at this text. I've never actually decided to... I had no idea Loki's name was there next to his Norse wife's name.
Followed by their 3 children.
Holy
the first
shit.
being Hel, the half-girl, half-corpse child, who in the myths is sent by Odin to watch over the realm of the same name. And the second being Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, who is very much physically present in God of War, thanks to being sent back in time during his cosmic battle with Thor during Ragnarok, which is an addition to the myths.
What else did the serpent tell you when you spoke? Kinda sounded important.
I'm sure it's nothing. He just said the boy seemed familiar to him.
Me?
But it's Loki's third monster child on the mural, Fenrir, aka
Fenrir's name is there too?
Wolf, the ever-growing wolf giant,
I had no idea.
whose legacy in the Eddas impacts the destinies of both Odin and Tyr.
Just knowing we're gods makes me feel so much stronger.
Maybe you feel a little too good right now. With power comes a big choice, lad. You can either serve yourself, or put your godhood in the service of others, like Tyr did.
According to the Prose Edda, Tyr was the only god brave enough to feed the wolf after Odin and the gods agreed to raise it in Asgard. But upon seeing how quickly Fenrir was growing in size, Odin convinces the other gods to bind him in case he turned on them. After 2 failed attempts to bind him with regular chains, Odin turned to the dwarves, who by using an unusual group of ingredients created the unbreakable fetter, Gleipnir. Fenrir accepted the 3rd challenge of being bound by Gleipnir on the condition that one god placed their hand in his mouth to be chomped off if he could not escape. And Tyr, knowing full well that his hand would be sacrificed, agreed. Fenrir was successfully bound, and Tyr's hand was bitten off while the other gods laughed. And that's how the merciful Tyr got his nickname the One-Handed God, who in God of War is always depicted with both hands still intact, thanks to Loki's children not being born yet.
People really loved him, huh?
Oh, that's another thing I didn't think about. The reason why Tyr has both hands, because Loki is not in this world. Therefore, he has both hands. You're right.
The God of
War.
What the
fuck?
The one who fought for peace.
But the God of War writers still harness Tyr's merciful nature to design a new legacy that shines like a lighthouse in the darkness for both Kratos and Atreus. On the Jormungandr mural, Tyr is seen positioned in the center, surrounded by the Midgard serpent, the 9 realms, and some runes. The 4 runes that surround Tyr translate into mercy, truth, peace, and unity.
Why have I never thought to translate the words on the mural? Why have I never thought about
It's these 4 pillars that Tyr stands upon as he tries to unite the races and bring peace to the realms.
Had a reputation for being heroic and lawful, using his power and knowledge to stop wars rather than start them.
So there are good gods.
Once in a moon, it's been known to happen, yes?
But the reverse polarity of Tyr's open-handed nature is the controlling path of the Allfather Odin. Much like Kratos, Odin is a character trapped inside his own grisly cycles of fate, and while only ever seen as a figure riding one of Loki's other monster children, the eight-legged horse Sleipnir, Odin's foreboding presence can be felt all throughout the journey as he leaves behind trails of destruction and death on his search for ways to reroute his fate.
Fate's a tricky thing, lad. And Odin's just arrogant enough to think he can get the best of it.
Fate is another lie told by the gods. Nothing is written that cannot be unwritten.
On that, brother, you and the Allfather may just agree.
Odin attempting to change his fate is consistent with the Eddas, as the prophecies predict that it will be Fenris Wolf who brings forth Odin's ultimate doom during Ragnarok, whose role has now been replaced by the Giants in the wake of his removal.
He's convinced the Giants hold the key to changing his fate when Ragnarok comes. They are the Aesir's oldest enemies, after all, and it's their army that's supposed to do him in the end.
Oh god.
On the Jormungandr Shrine, fate is predestined, spoken over all these events. And it's this idea of an unchangeable destiny that pushes Odin to use his godhood for ill, exploiting Tyr's truthful nature into gaining access to the Giants, whose entire race is then wiped out at the hands of Thor and his hammer.
But of course, the idea is control. Control of the future, control of his fate. He'd control every realm of every land in every world if he could. Every potential pocket of resistance, he seeks to eliminate.
He should pay for what he said about Mother.
I said no.
But we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
What are you doing?
This is a much better knife than Mother's.
From Odin and Tyr, Modi and Magni, Brock and Sindri and Baldur and Freya, everyone's reinvented legacies are all used as projections of what the future can look like, depending on the decisions Kratos makes here in the present. In fact, God of War's entire reinvented mythological world, from all of its broken relationships, cycles of destruction, and stories about control, is a world designed to constantly remind Kratos of the world he comes from, and to ultimately be a world that Kratos must reject in order to be truly free from his past.
Nobody cared about him anyways. What's the difference?
There are consequences to killing a god!
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
Watch your tone, boy.
Whatever.
But in order to rise above it, Kratos must look his history directly in the face.
Brother, look out!
And this has been the role Atreus has taken on from the very beginning, in perhaps God of War's greatest reinvention of all. While the absence of Loki is used to guide Kratos to the precipice of true inner transformation, in the end, the push that sends him over the edge is the presence of Loki through Atreus.
No! You broke the gate! That was our only way to Jotunheim!
Remember how we talked about Loki is always supposed to be the one to change the world? Well, he also changed Kratos, and this video is doing such a good job pointing it out.
Without the exciting, unstable, flawed figure of Loki, there could be no change in the fixed order of things.
Let go!
Loki's always changing.
You're not ready for this.
I am ready.
Why?
And here I thought my family was fucked up.
This fucking editing is so good.
Baldur!
No!
What did you do?
This editing. I love this guy, dude. I'm
The
subscribing
Viking
immediately.
spirit concludes as Daniel McCoy writes in regards to the ceaseless development intrinsic to myth. The best way to stay true to the Norse myths and religion is to continue to reinvent them for one's own time and place. And so just how the Vikings used Loki to shake up the natural order of their cosmos, the God of War team also used him to shake up theirs, harnessing Loki's unstable and flawed nature to shake up the unshakable disposition of Kratos. While the Loki in the Eddas is far from the compassionate Loki in God of War, the writers do stay true to Loki's catalyst nature and reinvent him to be the weapon needed to turn that protagonist around.
This is exactly what I was trying to say in my other video, but this guy says it's so much better.
During his spiral of rebellion, Atreus shapeshifts into a mirror reflection of Kratos, reflecting back the truth that this world of misery has been the foundation that Kratos has built his life upon. And so by saving Atreus from following in his footsteps, Kratos really saves himself.
Boy?
I'm here!
Here for the first time in the story, Atreus isn't rebuked for falling short of Kratos, but for becoming too much like him.
You will listen to me and not speak a word. I am your father, and you, boy, are not yourself. You are too quick to temper. You are rash, insubordinate, and out of control. This will not stand. You will honor your mother and abandon this path you have chosen.
So this guy is saying that Kratos disciplines Atreus for the very first time because he's starting to realize Atreus is becoming like himself.
It is not too late.
It's not too
But
late.
we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
Turn
In this
away,
moment,
boy.
Atreus was becoming Kratos, right?
Wasn't
I mean, I already
me.
knew that,
I couldn't have
but
done
this video does such a good
Not
job of
dwelling those
explaining
thoughts.
it.
Not here.
Sure enough, before the end, both protagonists do arrive at a place of transformation, becoming a father and son team built on honesty and encouragement.
We may argue. Me and Father, you and Freya, Brock and Sindri. But when we all work together, we do make a good team. And that's Tyr's test. That's why we're gonna make it to Jotunheim.
Do you hear that, brother? Lad's found his equilibrium.
What's that mean?
Speak wisely.
He means you speak wisely, Atreus. And that is good to hear.
I won't let you hurt him.
No, boy.
Fine.
Stop! No! No! Atreus!
What?
And Atreus going through all of that, standing up for his father, is what makes Baldur lose his invincibility. I love this game's writing. God of War 2018 has the best writing.
Leads to this moment where everything they've learned is put to the test as they face Baldur after he becomes mortal once more.
Please show the tag
This
team
path
combo
you
during
walk.
the fight.
Vengeance. You will find no peace. I know.
What? No, Father!
Here at the end, we see that Baldur has always been the embodiment of all three themes at once. A victim of a parent trying to control fate, who is now a force committed to continuing the cycle of destruction.
Why? Why do you even care? You could have walked away.
The cycle ends here. You must be better than this.
How did he get rid of the music in the background? I've been trying to learn how to do that forever.
Just like the Eddas, God of War is a story full of knots and tangles. But ultimately, the writers used their reinvented mythology as support beams for the main story, which is, ironically, or perhaps not, a story all about the one thing the Norse cosmos consider impossible:
You were just an animal.
change.
Passing on your cruelty and rage, you will never change.
And you do not know me.
What are you doing?
I have nothing more to
I made a
But
similar
where
video.
there's change, Loki is never far away. True enough, God of War's greatest twist isn't that Loki was never present,
I killed my father.
but that he never really left.
That was your father in hell. Is
I'm
this what it is to be
about
God?
to cry, dude.
Is this how it always ends? Sons killing their mothers? Their fathers?
No. We will be the gods we choose to be. Not those who have been. Who I was is not who you be. We must be better.
In the end, God of War demonstrates that it doesn't matter how broken or damaged your history might be, whether it's full of contradictions or destructive patterns. It's never too late to reinvent the story.
Nah, don't show my favorite scene, man. This scene always gets me emotional. Oh, he has the bandages flying, dude. This was... Okay, alright. Okay. I love that final line. The video is over, but...
It's never too late to reinvent the story.
It's never too late to reinvent the story. Oh my god, this is such a good video, dude. Oh shit, this is such a good video, man. I'm so jealous. I wish I could make things like this. Like, I've tried to do it, and I've made people like... This video was probably one of the best videos I've ever seen about God of War, dude. Yo, that's actually Corey. Hi, yo, Corey. This video, I saw you tweet it out a while ago. I watched like a little bit of it, but holy shit, dude. Was all this intentional? Like, I want to ask, like, is all of this intentional? Like, did you guys actually have all of these ideas about if Loki wasn't in the real myth? Would all of this had happened? Oh god, this video was great. I love God of War 2018, dude. This is definitely one of the greatest games I think I've ever played. Holy shit, dude. I don't know what to even say anymore, dude. Yo, Corey, this is definitely one of the best games I think I've ever... Like, the writing, this guy explains the writing so beautifully. Holy shit, dude. I can't believe Corey was in the chat. Was that actually Corey? What? Oh, man. Alright, I think that's gonna be the end of the stream. I gotta say, this is one of the best videos I've ever seen on God of War. And I really did enjoy this video so fucking much. Especially that ending, it really got to me. It really got to me. Holy shit. I don't know what else to say, man. Alright. Alright, that's gonna be the end of the stream. I will be streaming the PlayStation event tomorrow, but yo. I gotta say, man. This is one of the best videos I think I've ever watched.
Then, who I was is not who you be. We must be better.
In the end, God of War demonstrates that it doesn't matter how broken or damaged your history might be, whether it's full of contradictions or destructive patterns. It's never too late to reinvent the story.
It's never too late to reinvent. Alright, I gotta go. I feel myself getting too emotional here, man. I gotta get out of here. Everybody, it's been real. I really do appreciate everybody for coming out watching this with me. This is hands down the best God of War video on fucking YouTube. and I cannot get emotional on camera again. I can't bring myself to do that. Not again. Alright. I gotta go. I gotta fucking go. Alright, everybody. It's been real. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you all. I can't. I gotta go.